Ahead tonight, another group of foreign educators bid farewell to the Bahamas. And coming up in sports, our national basketball teams preparing for fierce competition. The Bahamas Tonight, the weekend edition, starts now.
Now in HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This portion of the news brought to you by BTC Every Day.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Candino Knowles, and welcome to the weekend edition of the Bahamas Tonight. Well, government is continuing its heavy investment in migration in the upcoming fiscal budget to the tune of millions with more equipment and human resources. In fact, 100 immigration officers who were approved by cabinet in this fiscal year will actually begin classes soon after the next fiscal year begins on Tuesday. In our top story tonight, hear how Cuba's ambassador to the Bahamas maintains migration as an issue his country takes very seriously. Aside from the issue of value-added tax, gaming, and of course crime, migration is another great challenge this country faces, with the Foreign Minister, Fred Mitchell, providing some insight in his recent contribution to the budget debate in the House of Assembly. Minister Mitchell noted that from January to May of this year, there was a total of 982 illegal migrants repatriated, with Haitians accounting for the majority with a total of 610, followed by 126 Jamaicans. The Dominican Republic had 83 illegals, while other nationals accounted for 84. Cuba rounded out the group with 79 illegals. And speaking of Cubans, Cuban ambassador to the Bahamas, His Excellency Ernesto Guzman, told ZNS News that the issue of migration is one his country takes very seriously, considering this country's recent history with Cuban nationals. A group of 6 Cubans, that is determined by the Foreign Ministry to be in a no man's land, are still in the Bahamas seeking asylum because none of them are wanted back in the United States, where they previously enjoyed permanent residency. Additionally, the group is not eligible for asylum in this country, nor are they wanted back in their home country. The ongoing dilemma has left government to find some place for them to go. Questioned about his country's position on the matter, Ambassador Guzman said Cuba will allow diplomacy to take its course.
In that case, we have a very good communication with the Bahamian government. You know, we have a bilateral agreement on repatriation issues. So last September we had a first round of migration, technical migration issue conversation, and we hope in the future to have the second round.
And as more and more Cubans end up on Bahamian soil, Ambassador Guzman says he expects the Bahamian government will carry out the laws of the land in sending illegals back home. And he assured that this will not affect the outstanding relationship between both countries as long as the lines of communication remain open.
We have a protocol, we have procedures to repatriate Cuban citizens that arrive in the Bahamas by illegal means. So, and we have an agreement of extension of visa between both governments. So for the official and diplomatic passport, they don't need visas. So I think that in terms of migration, the most important thing is that we have a very direct line of communication. So we don't have any issue, any problem in that sense. Everything that we have to talk, we talk, and we find a solution for this.
Prime Minister the Right Honorable Perry Christie and Education Minister the Honorable Jerome Fitzgerald attended a reception at Cuban Ambassador His Excellency Ernesto Guzman's residence for Cuban teachers who completed the school year and one teacher who completed his teaching tenure in the Bahamas. The educational alliance between both countries has existed for 11 years, and the Education Minister announced that some recent changes were made to that agreement, which now sees teachers extending their tenure in this country.
We have, as you all know, have had a very long and excellent relationship with the Cuban government with regard especially to education. And this year, with the assistance of Ambassador Guzman, we were able to agree for an extension of contracts for teachers moving forward. I think that speaks to the degree of collaboration that we have and the mutual respect we have between countries.
Now, Ambassador Guzman revealed that teachers who previously served for 3 years will now work for 4. The collaboration, he says, has worked to the advantage of both countries as a group of 8 new teachers are expected in September. The ambassador says he looks forward to continued diplomatic relations between the Bahamas and Cuba.
They are not only come here to teach, they also come here to learn. You know, they come here to learn about the Bahamian culture. They come here to learn about the education system in the Bahamas, and they come here to learn what their students have to teach them. And this year is very special also because we will celebrate the 40th anniversary of the diplomatic relations between Cuba and the Bahamas. We established the diplomatic relations on November 1974. So, and this year we had the opportunity that the Prime Minister visit Cuba on January for the second summit of the CELAC.
Well, still on education, Director of Education Lionel Sands confirmed to ZNS News that electricity was restored to several schools on Grand Bahama as of 5 p.m. Friday, although he could not give an exact number. Sands once again confirmed that the Ministry of Finance has settled the outstanding bill with the Grand Bahama Power Company that led to those disconnections last week. Now, the education director was not aware, or says he was not aware, of the size of the bill, adding he didn't expect the information before Monday.
I'm awaiting now for a response from the officers in Grand Bahama to let me know if there are still schools that are without electricity and which schools they are, and also if there's any indication from Freeport Power and Light when the power in those schools would be back on. But we expect before the end of the weekend that all of the schools would be returned back to normalcy with respect to the electricity.
Now, Mr. Sands says nearly all government schools in the district that were connected to the island's power company were affected, noting that schools on the Keys have a different power source. He says it's unfortunate the incident that occurred, but noted that with school closed now, the power loss will not have as great an impact as it would have had otherwise. The education director added, though, that with administrators still working, they will definitely need the service.
But administrators are still in school because, of course, their vacation time does not necessarily coincide with the closure of school for teachers and students. And so it is still important that the lights are back on in all schools because administrators must continue to work during the course of the summer. We're making every effort to make sure that that never occurs again. And so whatever it takes for us to make sure that that doesn't happen, we will certainly do our best to ensure that it does not occur again.
From the crime beat tonight, a 25-year-old man of Pride Estates didn't get far yesterday after he reportedly opened fire on a man he knew in the Carmichael Road area. Police confirmed that shortly after 5 p.m. Saturday, a 23-year-old man was repairing a vehicle on Montgomery Avenue off Carmichael Road when he got into an argument with the suspect, who was a customer. Now, following that altercation, police say the suspect left the scene and returned shortly after with a shotgun and fired 2 shots at the victim before fleeing the scene in a black Honda vehicle. Now, the victim, we're told, received 2 gunshot wounds and was transported to hospital where he's detained in stable condition. A short while later, police arrested the suspect, who was wearing a court-issued electronic monitoring device on Goodman's Bay. Well, at-risk youth participating in the now popular shock treatment program recently got a pep talk from officials of the Bahamas Striping Company. President of Bahamas Striping Group of Companies, Atario Mitchell, talked about his tough background and why it was so important to speak to the young men. Mr. Mitchell maintains he's a believer in second chances.
You could be anything you want to be in life. All it takes is for you to settle down, make the right decisions, start obeying your parents, obeying your teachers. You understand? It's simple stuff. And as I saw the shock treatment program, I just wanted to bring you guys here. You understand? Just to let you know that, yeah, you fight yesterday, you get kicked out of school or so forth, but that don't mean your life is over. If you start today to make the right decisions, you could be 5 years, 4 years later, where I am standing now.
Director of Shock Treatment, Carlos Reed, says he always believes it's good for the young men to hear positive stories.
We believe that it's things like these that really leaves that indelible impression upon young people. See, it's all right to say to young people, you need to do this or you need to do that. But when it hit home is when you say, look here, I was just like you and this is what I do. And I think that is what really leaves that indelible impression upon particularly young people.
Coming up, did you attend the Anglican Fair yesterday? Well, if not, we've got a look at what you missed. Stay tuned. The Bahamas Tonight continues in a moment.